Good morning. We've got another coffee talk for you guys. Got my good Christmas cup again. A little bit of breakfast blend and creamer here. I got a question yesterday, and I've had this question several times because it's like what everyone wants. I've asked this question before. How long does it take me to ride a wild horse? And this is actually such a good question because what I was asked yesterday, and what I'm normally asked, how many days does it take you to ride a wild horse? Well, I've had horses that, months. I've rode one the first day. Brandy from the 2018 makeover, I rode her the first day. So what's funny though is what I told them, and this is what everyone needs to think about, it's not about the days, it's about the hours. And the reason I'm really happy to talk about this is because I think a lot of people that do a makeover or start a Mustang, they see someone on the internet ride theirs the first day, the second day, the third day, and they feel bad. And they don't realize if that person's putting in 8 to 10 hours a day, some could be doing more, but I would say you're going to have a lot of people doing 6 to 8 hours a day if they really care about the makeover. Then riding the first, second, or third day, look at the hours. Okay, they've put in 16 hours. They put in 24 hours. That's how many hours it took them. So I got a Mustang in, not this month, but last month, and I just had him for a month, and they wanted him rode. And they had kind of got him halter broke, but they hadn't worked with him in months, and so he did progress decently well for a client horse Mustang, because a makeover Mustang and a client horse Mustang are two very different things, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But that horse, I wanted to get several things good for the owners. I thought it would benefit them more if he was really confident about picking up his feet, if he, was just confident around people. And sometimes when you start riding them, they'll get a little more worried for a short while, and if you keep them for a long time, it goes away and it's not a problem. But if I ride them and get them nervous, and then they go to someone else that tries to ride them and maybe falls off or isn't as skilled, I don't feel like I've done them as many favors as if I would have got them just better around people, just general handling stuff. So that being said, I rode him, I want to say 3 times before he left, and he was a little bit tougher of him. He wasn't the toughest, but he was tougher than average. And so it took me probably 20 hours to get to the first ride, so 20 hours of work. So you're averaging an hour a day on a client horse probably. Some people say they do 2. That's great. I don't do 2 hours. I've never said I do 2 hours, and I don't. Probably averaging an hour a day on a wild horse. If you send me a young domestic horse, it's more like 30 to 35 minutes, and there's reasons for that. They only, a lot of stuff they're doing here, they're learning how to learn. So you have a window, an attention span, and then if that's a 2-year-old, you just don't have a lot of horse there. So, 30 minutes is a lot of time on a young horse. And then near the end of the month, you're going to be upping that because you're building their stamina. So 20 hours to get that one rode. And he'd handled it well. Like I put 3 rides on him, walk, trot, lope, did really good. And I had him good with his feet, trimmed his feet, all 4 feet on the stand. I had him where I could lay him down with a rope. He would come up to the mounting block and pick you up off the mounting block. You could crack a whip over his head. So there was a lot of things we did there that, were different than riding. Then as soon as that one went home, another one came in. Well, he had all the handling. He wasn't a wild horse. I rode him the second day. And by the end of the month, 2 days in a row, he did a slide stop that was about 2 feet long. He picked you up off the mounting block. He did all the obstacles. He was good, crack a whip on him, swing a rope on him, put the rope around his butt, wave the flag from his back. So going back to a wild horse, for me, it depends so much on the horse. Like I've had that one that I rode the first day, and I worked her the whole day. So you're 8 hours in, 10 hours in, somewhere in there. So to me, I would say to get one rode for me, it would be between 4 and probably 30 hours of work. A lot of them are going to happen for me around that 20-hour mark of work. So that's going to be on the third day if I'm putting in long days. There's horses you get in, they're just not going to take that long. You can put in 4 hours the first day and get on them if you want. If you want to take a picture, they're not broke, but they're gentle and they don't care. So that's something to remember if you're training your horse at home and you're watching and you're doing a makeover and you see someone ride theirs the first or second day. They're on it. Good for them. That's awesome. I mean, if it's a photo, I wouldn't get very nervous. If it's a video, it's probably going to be short. If it's a longer video, then you're like, hey, that's pretty good. Like, I got to watch a full minute of that horse walking and trotting that person around on the second day. That's pretty good. Here's what else I'll tell you. I've seen people ride their horse the first day, not make the finals. I've seen people not ride until the last 30 days, make the finals at a makeover. So those checkpoints are awesome to hit, and I want to hit them too, but they're not as important as the foundation you're building. So is getting on good? And like you get on and it goes well. Is that good? Yes. But there's foundational pieces to horse training that matter even more than those checkpoints. So I'm going to say, getting really good control of the hind end, forward motion, the hip, all those things are super important. The sun started in and it is waiting for it to get above the window because it cleared the tree and now there's this spot in the window where it's gotta get up. So that's something I would just love to talk about for an hour, is what I recognize in photos and videos posted early in makeovers. And what's funny, if you watch a makeover page the first week, if someone does something great, everyone's like, oh my God, amazing, you're doing so good, you're killing it. 2 weeks later, someone posts, same person, same horse, posts something good, 9 likes, 2 comments. The worried competitors, what would you call it? The competitiveness starts to come out, and their excitement for your success starts to go away, starts to become more of an envy of, oh crap. And so for me, I'll post a few things early, and then if I post things, it's mostly on my page, not on the makeover page until closer to the end, because they don't support you anymore because they're competitive, and that's fine. I'm not mad at them. Hey, I've just recognized that as human nature. That happens almost every time. The first time competitors will post their early success and they'll get all these comments and likes, and then a month later they're posting and they're like, why is no one liking my stuff? Well, they're not as happy for you because they want to beat you. So there's going to be a few people that aren't in the makeover that are on there happy for you, but even then, too much of a good thing people stop reacting to. So when I post on social media, I try to either spread out my posts or mix it up where it's kind of a good, bad. Anyways, back to the topic. I think if people start looking at it in terms of hours and building foundation, they'll have a lot more success. For me, when my horse is really halter broke, I can normally ride them. So I spend a lot of time moving them around on the halter and getting them really soft. And when I wave that flag up, they if I'm moving them around and I can wing that flag up and startle them and they don't pull on the rope, that's a horse you can ride. Most of them are going to take a while to get to that level. Their first reaction, they go, then they hit the rope and give. Now, when they hit the rope, they're bam, when they touch that thing, it's almost as if it's an electric fence and they get right off of it. That horse is getting safe to ride. Most people are after getting them so dull to everything that happens. Here's a tarp, here's popping a balloon, here's shooting a gun, whereas for me, if you can do all that, but when they get a little worried, they drag you off into the sunset, I don't ride that horse. It's not about getting them over all the noises and things they see. It's about when they get worried. I'm not trying to not get them worried. They're gonna get worried. It's about what happens when that happens, because when they go to leave, if I pick up and they move their hip over, no problem. I'll just keep moving it over until they stop, and then I'll pet them. And then few minutes in, they're like, got it, no problem. So I'm working one right now, and I'm just trying to get her halter broke real good. I'm not going to ride her, I'm tip training her. But once she's halter broke good, I'll be able to get her feet easier. I'll be able to get her loaded in the trailer, and then she's tip trained. We've got 2 days done with her. She's got a halter on. She's tying up. She's been sprayed off. I've got probably just 3.5 hours in. And so that's what we've accomplished is halter on, moving both ways, petting almost all over with the flag. She still kicks sometimes and strikes sometimes. And then tied up, sprayed off. And so that's 3.5-ish hours. And that's, for me, that's pretty normal. Somewhere around that 4 to 6 hour range is when I'm going to accomplish that stuff. Depends on the hurry I'm in and what things are more important to me. But yeah, anyways, think about that next time you start one. Don't think about the days, think about the time and spend the time. So if you have had your horse a week and you put in 7 hours and someone else is riding theirs, they're probably on hour 35, 40. Like there's some people doing 6 to 8 hours a day, and they're averaging 4 to 6 hours a day for the 100-day duration. I've seen some people post how they put in 600 hours on a 100-day horse. That's 6 hours a day. And if you take a day off, you've got to do even more. So that's pretty tough. I'm not going to put 600 hours into a makeover horse. I'm going to average, maybe 200, maybe. Because after the first week, I'm only going to put in an hour a day. And then at the last month, I'm going to put in a couple hours a day-ish. So that's what I do. I hope that helps some of you guys. If you're at home working with your horse, you got to put in the time. The less skill you have, the more time you have to put in. That's just, time spent training versus skill of the trainer, and then difficulty of the horse. I should have brought those things up. That's one of Mark's things is the 4 factors that go into the quality of the outcome is quality of raw ingredients, which is going to be your horse, time spent training, or time spent working on it, even if it's not a horse, skill of the person training or cooking or whatever your thing is, and then the quality of your tools and equipment. So if you've got good tools and equipment, if you're training with a 40-foot round pen that's only 5 foot tall and outside of that's a barbed wire pasture, that's gonna affect how much you get done. So all those things are important, and you can't change the quality of raw ingredients. Once you get your horse, you get your horse. So then it comes down to mostly your skill and the time you put in. So if you're not as skilled as the people you want to beat, you need to put in twice as much time as they put in, and you'll have a really good chance of beating or reaching or whatever. So, well, it's a Sunday. I got to do a couple things. Fix the water. I got a leaky water line out there, and we got church. So hope you guys have a good Sunday, and we'll see you next time.